So one of the funniest or first memories of PayPal or Confinity at the time, or FieldLink even at the time, was actually bringing in developers. So as a Champaign-Urbana graduate, I decided that I'm just going to recruit. We're only going to recruit people we know. So Peter basically recruited this guy named Kenny, who was an economics student at Stanford, graduating the year that we started PayPal. And I recruited a friend of mine called Luke from Champaign, and then these two other engineers named Russ and Yupan. And the Russ and Yupan story is interesting in the sense because they were both already out of school, both working real serious jobs. Yupan was actually working in Minnesota for IBM, and Russ was doing a master's degree in Champaign-Urbana in computer science. So the recruiting was, I had no idea how to recruit people into software companies from before, other than just going to, so previous startups that I've had, I've run 4 startups before PayPal, and every one of those I basically would just go to campus and say, hey, I'm going to do this project, anybody wants to do it, I'll pay peanuts, but it'll be fun. That was the standard model, and it actually worked fairly well. But this time I actually had to go recruit people to get them to move to California, which is a really serious thing, because I just moved to California myself. So the recruiting was actually completely wrong. The right way to recruit people to go to California is to bring them out here during bitter cold wherever they are. So for example, a typical Champaign-Urbana recruit would come out to California in mid-January. So from SFO, you drive them to Half Moon Bay, you sit on the beach for about half an hour, you watch the waves, then you take them to the office, and then you sort of say, well, the weather's usually like this, but it's a lot warmer, because this is January, it's really not that good. And that basically, the end of the day is like, where do I sign? So I did it all wrong, because I was still learning, and these two guys, I actually flew out to visit them. The key objections to my recruiting them for this company were not, this is a crazy idea, no one's going to ever use Palm Pilots, and it was really not, you're not even funded yet, none of that. It was basically, I feel really bad dropping out of master's degree because my advisor might really not like me very much for it, which is understandable. And the other guy had an even better excuse. He said, look, I really don't want to leave my ultimate Frisbee team because I really hate my job, and Minnesota is freaking cold. But a couple days out of the year, you get this really nice weather, and we got a Frisbee team going. So we really like playing. So skipping through a few iterations on please, please, please drop out of school, please, please, please leave your job and come to California, these guys actually showed up in SFO on the cheapest airline available, ATA, bundled up because they're both flying from Chicago.
American Transair, right?
American Transair, which is still in business, which is pretty impressive.
They're very cheap, yes.
Very, very cheap. It was like $98 tickets. They flew out, they were bundled up completely, and the entire company came out to meet them. We're 4 people. They made the 6 original founders with these last 2 guys. We all came out to visit, and we're standing outside the gate just going, oh, we're finally going to have some engineers, and we're really going to get started. So this is the images from the beginning of PayPal. And then I took them to Half Moon Bay to sort of take a look, and then to Stanford campus, and gave an inspiring speech right by the...
How we're going to take over the world.
We're going to take over the world. I had a very vague idea of how, but it was by the fountain, I think, right? It was the,
yes.
Yes, and then one of the engineers said, well, let's go back to the Bat Cave, and we went to our office, and that's how the whole thing started.